So here is Stephen Miller laying out the Great Replacement, laying out the very process I have explained on my show several times over. This will sound familiar to you. I'm very glad to hear a guy like Stephen Miller laying out exactly what is happening here.
Is it for your audience perfectly, Sean? This was not a loophole. The Biden administration, Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, devised a scheme to fly illegal aliens into the country and then to escort them en masse across the border by the millions, and to give them something known as parole, which gives them a work permit, which gives them a social security number, which gives them access to the voting booth. This was the plan all along, to get them here illegally so they can get free government benefits, get hooked to welfare, and be able to participate in American elections. This was an attack on democracy by the Democrat Party. It's the same attack that we see, Sean, when you have California, a sanctuary state, that is refusing to turn over even illegal alien criminals and gang members to ICE. So these are illegal aliens in California who have been arrested by California police, by California law enforcement for serious crimes, for crimes against children, for felonies, for crimes that threaten public safety, and they are refusing to hand these criminal illegal aliens over to ICE. Instead, they're freeing them back into the cities to offend and offend again.
So Miller laying out the process that we've talked about this on the show many times over. Maybe you heard about it here, probably already knew about it. Point is, either way, this is the plan of the Democratic Party. Demographic replacement of the American stock is the plan in order to manipulate elections in the democracy. When you have a democratic system, it's really easy to hack. If you leave the borders open, if you allow people to come in, it's very simple for the people in charge to manipulate who's coming into the country and who's getting citizenship and who's getting the right to vote so that they can manipulate the electoral outcomes. I'm not a big fan of democracy, you know that. But if you're going to operate one, you can't operate it with open borders. You can't operate it bringing in a ton of people. Because the whole idea of the democracy is that it represents the beliefs and will of the people and that the popular sovereignty is supposed to guide the politicians. So if instead of the popular sovereignty guiding the politicians can create and manufacture popular sovereignty in their favor, then they can control the entire system. And Stephen Miller's just laying it out plain. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not some weird internet idea. This is the plan of the Democratic Party. This is what they want. This is their political strategy. Your replacement has a purpose. These people from Afghanistan are here for a reason. These people from Somalia are here for a reason. They're here to replace you. They're here to vote for Democrats and make sure that the Democratic Party never loses power and that you become a minority in your country so that you can never vote your way out of this. They are creating a scenario where the votes no longer matter because they aren't even cast by actual Americans anymore. And Stephen Miller is just laying it out plain. So it's not like the Trump administration doesn't understand what's going on here. This is an existential problem, guys. This is not addressing percentages on tax policy. This is not, I don't know if tariffs are economically beneficial. This is the people of your country are being replaced to make sure that they can never have an influence on their government again and that you become a one-party state entirely buoyed by the devotion of immigrants who hate Americans coming into the United States and taking control of the political apparatus. To the point where these people will commit terror. They will plan to bomb you. They will shoot you in the streets. And the Democrats will say it's your fault. If the National Guard hadn't been there, they wouldn't have been shot. If Charlie Kirk hadn't been against immigration, he wouldn't have deserved to catch a bullet. These are the arguments made by the left. All this stupid distraction about, interviews and group chats somewhere on the right. Somewhere someone said a naughty no-no word, conservative land. So we have to spend months after the death of Charlie Kirk attacking that, instead of focusing on the fact that the left is actively trying to kill you and replace you in your own country. This is where we spent all our time and energy. And now look what has happened. I don't have time for anyone telling me that I need to spend more time worrying about jokes made in a group chat or an interview somewhere online than I do about this. I'm done. I'm done with these people. They are dead to me. They are not part of my movement. I don't want anything to do with them. If you're running around spending all your time, hair on fire, screaming about naughty words said somewhere in a group chat that we're never supposed to see the light of day, while we have this stuff going on, you're just on the wrong side of it, and you're just a waste of time. This is what matters. This is the only thing that matters. This is the future of the country. This is the safety of your children. This is the continuation of your history. You address this, or the country drowns. That's it. And it'll drown slowly. Don't worry. Nothing ever happens, bros. It'll always be a small enough event to where you can pretend like it's not a big deal. That it's not really making a difference. But it is. The grains of sand add up. The straws stack up on the camel's back. And when you continually see the same thing over and over and over again, you have to recognize that you are heading to the destination, whether it's at 1,000 miles an hour or 100 miles an hour. Either way, when you get there, the edge of the cliff is going to be bad. So waiting until you get to the very edge of the cliff and saying, oh, well, I guess something did happen today, that's stupid. Something is happening now. It needs to stop. So let's look at a few more ways in which the Democratic Party is currently conducting itself. So, like I said, we're carrying this narrative that it's okay to replace the people of the United States. Here's a sitting senator, Mark Kelly, former astronaut from Arizona. This is one of the guys who's been encouraging the American troops to commit treason. What does he have to say about the demographic replacement of Americans?
When I heard the secretary say that they're going to pause immigration from third world countries, I mean, I take that as a message that they don't want brown people coming to the United States. And I find that disturbing. We are a country that has always welcomed individuals that are struggling, that are fleeing famine and violence. And it would be a fundamental change to the fabric of our nation to change that.
Okay, so first, that's a complete lie. That's a complete and total lie. That is not the history of the United States. The United States is not the plaque on the Statue of Liberty, okay? That is not actually the way that the United States has worked the entire time. Ellis Island is not the definition of the United States. Sorry, it's not. In fact, several times over, the liberals will tell you that actually we rejected so many peoples. We didn't take every Jewish person during the Holocaust. So therefore, America has the blood guilt of the entire Holocaust. And we'll hear that exact narrative from guys like Kelly. And then they'll turn around and say, actually, no, the America has always accepted every person who's ever wanted to come here because they were sick or had famine or whatever in their own country, were in danger in their own country. No, we haven't. That's not true. It's not a fundamental change to say, actually, we're going to put our nation first. That is not a change in our American tradition. You know, it is a change in the American tradition, specifically making sure that we only import as many people from the third world as possible. Because here's the quiet part. Here's the negative space of Kelly's argument. And we always get this with the left, right? The implication is we need more diversity. What does more diversity mean? Fewer white people. Right? It's not more diverse. When he says we need more diversity, he doesn't mean Afrikaners from South Africa. The left flipped out when the Trump administration said that they were going to let Afrikaners from South Africa in, because refugees only count if they're a minority. They don't count if they're white. No white person can be a refugee in the progressive framing.